Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It is Rose Deonarine, and today I've got a special treat for you. For those of you who love taking selfies, or you have a pro cam and you want to know how to use it, this interview is for you. I am so excited and so happy because I am interviewing my high school friend, my sister, Crystal Badal. Hello, darling. How are
Hi, Rose. I'm good.
you? You look great.
Thank you very much.
So let's chat a little bit about how we know each other, and it's been a long time. Time is flying. We met in school.
Yes, we have been friends for so many years. I think I can remember when Facebook came out. We kind of got interacted then because you went abroad, and we haven't seen each other since school, right? So I remember seeing you on Facebook, and I think I sent you a request, and we've been friends, and we've been trying to keep in connection since then. So that's been like since Facebook was created, I guess.
Yeah, well, prior to that, we knew each other in Trinidad. I think we met when we were like 13, maybe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
because of Facebook, we are able to stay connected. I feel like I know what's going on. I do know what's going on because I see your
yeah.
pictures, and I'm so thankful for that. So for today's interview, it's all about what you do now on a full-time basis. But I want you to tell my audience a little bit about yourself. I know you're a wife, you're a mommy, and you're a photographer. Can you elaborate on that?
So I'm Crystal. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I am happily married. We've actually just celebrated our 11 years of marriage.
Yeah.
This was on the 24th of this month. So that was a lot. That was a big deal for us. My husband is Navin Ramkalawan. He said to make sure and call his name. We have, yes. So we have two girls. My eldest is Caitlin. She's 10. She just recently turned 10 as well. And my second daughter is Melanie, and she will be 5. So I've been into photography for about 7 years, 7 or 8 years. First, I was a graphic designer, and then I moved on to photography, and I opened a studio as well. So apart from freelancing to now opening a studio, so there's a lot going on, being a wife, a mom, business owner. So we're excited about that.
And I'm excited for you. I mean, this week, two big celebrations. Caitlin turning 10, you
Yeah.
celebrate your wedding anniversary. All
And
right.
the quarantine style.
Oh my God, on the lockdown. I mean, so many limitations, but as they say, as I always like to say too, health is wealth. So as long
Yeah.
as you're healthy and you're doing it together, that's so important.
Yes.
I want to shift to your career path now. How did you transition into being an aspiring photographer into doing it full time?
So I was a graphic designer before, as I mentioned. I was into graphic design for 12 years, but I always wanted to do photography. And I have entered this pageant a couple of years back. I think it was in 2006. So we were in front of the camera all the time, and it was that first time experience for me. So the experience being in front of the camera, I would always remember because it made you feel so good about yourself, and you had this all these people taking pictures, and they teach me how to pose, how to angle. It made you get this self-confidence that you wanted. So after that, after a couple of years when I went through that, I wanted to actually be in, I just wanted to actually be behind the camera now and not in front of the camera. So I wanted to do photography. I pursued the career into that. I went to university. We studied photography, and I did online courses. I took the chance and I invested into a camera, and I just started doing freelancing, and it just went on for like a couple of years, and then I decided I was gonna open a studio.
Yeah.
And it was so scary because I'm like, I'm not sure if I could do this. You know, you have that you feel like you're not confident enough to do this, but I just told myself I have to do this. I want to do this, and I took the leap and I did it.
So when you took that big leap, what was it that made you say, you know what, I want to be behind the camera. I want to open my own studio. What was it that made you do that? I'm sure you needed the support of your family members as well.
Yes, yes, I needed that. I had that. I had the support from my mom. I had it from my brothers, from Navin. It was really, really emotional time for me because I was so scared at the same time, investing so much money into, this business. But you know what? What made me feel good is I felt confident at that point because it was about 2 years after doing photography and practicing, and I just built up this self-confidence. I actually started practicing with family, and I had a couple of friends who told me to do, their events. So you have to kind of build up that confident level. So I took that time to build up my confident level until I was ready enough to, to open the studio. And I felt like I'm in control here now. So like, I felt good about it, when people come in to me asking me for advice. So yeah, it was like a long process, but I got here.
Yeah. We will definitely be talking about advice later down this interview. I want to talk about your camera. What type of cameras do you shoot with?
So I'm a Canon shooter.
Uh-huh.
I love Canon cameras. I have a couple here I could show you. This is my 7D. So this camera is what I use in my studio. This is a 7D Canon. It has a lens, which is my favorite lens. It's a 24 to 70 lens that I use for portrait photography. I use it even for kids, for family. It's kind of like an all-rounder lens that I could use in the studio. And my studio is pretty simple. I don't like to have a lot of gears to confuse, or it's very simple. So I have a couple of lenses that I love to shoot with. So this is a 50 prime lens, which is another favorite of mine. I use this lens for like newborn photography, and we can even use these lenses for like if you're taking a passport picture. Very simple and easy to use. And this is another Canon camera that I have here. This is the T4i. So I use this camera to do like if I'm doing newborn shoots. I use this lens for newborns as well, and you can use it for portraits. What else do I have here? So this is an external flash that if I'm doing an outdoor shoot and I need extra lighting, I could use this flash on top of my camera if I'm doing outdoor shoots. And I don't know if you could see behind me, I have a light in my studio. It's a Alien Bees light. So this light is triggered by a device on my camera. So it's basically sync. So when I actually take a photo, the flash comes on. And I can adjust it according to the light, if I need it brighter, if I need light, if I need it a little bit darker. So this is my light as well for the studio. And I have one more lens I need to show you because this is like, so this big boy is a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. This lens I use like if I'm doing an outdoor shoot, like in a park or with family and stuff like this, I would take this. This is definitely one to take with me. So this is another one that I would have. So that's basically what I have. Most of the lens I would use is about 3 or 4 lenses for the most. And then I have these 2 cameras. I always walk with a backup camera in every event I go to. Like that is by law. Yeah.
I just see your face light up when you're talking about all the different gears.
I
It's
know.
so exciting. And I know photographers out there, they can understand those photography terms that you're talking about.
Yeah.
What is one of the most or rewarding part about being a photographer?
I think the reward for me, the rewarding part would be, taking photos of my family and kids. Apart from actually taking photos in the studio or taking pictures of clients, for me, I think is when I capture my kids' life, like when they go to the park or if their birthdays, any special occasion. I love taking pictures of my kids, and I always like take it for different seasonal events that we have in the studio. I would take it with my kids. So for me, it's like an advantage. I get to take my kids' pictures, my even my mom, whoever family. But like for me, capturing our life is the biggest reward for me being a photographer.
And about, for example, when you have difficult clients, because I'm sure you deal with so many different personalities. I love looking at your Instagram. I mean, you work with small babies, you work with older folks. I just saw you did a 65th photo shoot. So how do you deal with different personalities, and how do you deal with difficult clients?
So it depends on the client. It depends on if we're dealing with an individual or if we're dealing with a family, or a baby. So let's start with an individual. If I think that someone is uncomfortable, this is where I need to have that customer or that client make them feel comfortable. So what I usually do is I have a one-on-one meeting with them. If they can't come to the meeting, we would have it either a video call or on the phone. So basically what I do is I prep them before the shoot. I ask them questions based on what they're comfortable with, what makes them feel insecure. So I would want to know these things so I would know when they come, to make them feel comfortable. And one of the main things in my studio that makes like customers feel kind of soothing and comfortable is music. So during every shoot, I would play music. And I would ask them, like, what is your choice? What do you like? You know, like if it's a birthday shoot and someone's coming, it's like if you're pampering yourself, right? So you would want them to treat themselves. They're coming, like if they're coming to a spa. So I play music. I tell them, walk with, if you want champagne or wine, walk with it, that's fine. Anything to make them feel comfortable. And that's the key for them to kind of like unwind. And what I also do is I kind of like take a couple of shots before. It's just like test photos and kind of show it to them. So they will be like, this is what you're going to get. And let's kind of practice more. So kind of easing them into the shoot, you know? So that's what an individual shoot. If we're doing like with a family, I would need to know how much members are coming and if it's how much kids. So I'll need to coordinate them and what they're wearing. So these are questions I would ask them before the shoot. And if there's a baby involved, well, that's a whole new ballgame because that's extra time as well. So I would schedule a meeting definitely with mom or dad, and we would talk about how old baby is, what we could do to make baby feel comfortable. I would not have any shoots close to that shoot. So I'll probably try to have like a maybe 2.5 hours just for baby and family alone to actually do that shoot. So it's very important not to have too much people in here while doing the shoot because sometimes the baby is probably like 6 or 7 days old, so they haven't got their shots yet, and we need the place to be quiet and a little more subtle. Usually I would take my my AC off because we need it kind of warm in here. So I would do everything to make that baby or family feel comfortable. Yeah.
And I know recently you worked with Ronnie celebrity Ronnie. He brought in his newborn baby along with his wife. What was that experience like?
It was a really nice experience. It also was an emotional experience as well. As we all know, Rennie's not feeling well. And what we had to do to schedule the shoot, we kind of had to work with his appointments and their timing. So we had to cancel a couple times, but then we found the time to do it. He came with his wife and his daughter and Maria's parents. So they had a lot of support. I took extra time for them as well because under the circumstances with Ronnie. So we got through the shoot. It was really nice and it was nice meeting them. They're so humble and so blessed. Like I was so happy to see them actually support my studio and come to my studio. I feel like I wanted to give so much back to them, you know? So I took my time with their photos and even with the parents, like I made sure that everybody got their shots and we were comfortable enough to say, well, okay, the session is over, and I let them sit, we chat. So it's really, really nice experience getting to know them.
Yeah, and so amongst all your work, which one is your favorite work?
So I took a while to figure that out because over the years doing photography, I've been doing everything. You know, when I've now started photography, it was such a hustle for me because everything come in, I wanted to take it. I wanted to take that job because at that time you wanted the extra money and stuff like that. So I was doing weddings, I was doing events, I pretty much everything in photography I was doing. And when I was pregnant with my second daughter, Melanie, I didn't get to do a newborn shoot with Caitlin because I wasn't into photography at that time. I didn't have my gears or anything. So I got to do that with Melanie. And when she was I I think she was 12 days old. I did her photo shoot when she was 12. And I had to do it in my bedroom because I was unable to actually come to the studio to do it. So I had to bring all my stuff and work with the environment that I had there, right? And that is when I fall in love with newborn photography.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, okay, this is what I like. It was so amazing posing her. She was sleeping, and the images came out so beautifully. So that is when I actually started to pursue newborn photography. And I wanted to get more into it. I wanted to learn everything about newborn photography. So I started to study it. I did some courses online. And I think that is exactly where I want to be heading now. Like, I want to introduce more of newborn into the studio.
Well, you didn't only do courses online. You took a plane and went to California, Orange County to be exact. And I think this particular person that you went to take the course with is someone you admire as well. Can you tell us about that experience going to California?
It was amazing, Rose. It was like a dream for me because apart from the workshop, like actually visiting LA and California, it's such an amazing experience. I was so excited to actually go to this workshop that the funny thing is the course was starting at 8 a.m. and I got the taxi to come like almost an hour and a half before.
You were so excited.
I was so excited. So we were at the front door like almost half an hour before the actual course started. And it was so cold. We were out there freezing outside of the door. So we got there, the course started at 8 and we had a full day shoot. It was with newborns, actual babies that were 7 and 8 days old. We had like about 5 or 6 babies. We also did a maternity clinic as well, where we got to shoot mummies in their maternity outfit. So it was basically a workshop with mummies and babies. It was maternity and newborn photography. So we had a full day, and it went on till 9 p.m. at night. It was such a great experience. And we had a couple of days to tour in California as well. So let me tell you about Orange County. Orange County is such a ancient small town, and there's so much of vintage stuff around. Like it's so amazing. I only got to see a very little because I was there just for a little while, but my husband went touring during the day to see what it had out there. He went to so many antique shops, and he took a lot of pictures of like the different history, and it has so much of museums. It's such a lovely town to actually go and visit, and I wish I could actually spend more time there. But apart from that, we visited Venice. We went to Venice. We went to Santa Monica Pier, which is like, I wanted to go there so bad. And we went to Malibu Beach as well. So we had a couple of places that we went touring for a couple of days. So it was really, really nice.
You sound like you had such a great time. I know you walked on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as well.
Oh my God, yes.
So what did you take away from that day of being in front of someone you admire her work? And I think you mentioned her name. What was it like learning from someone such as herself and being able to pursue something that you're now in love with, doing the newborn photography?
So Anna Brant, she's an amazing newborn photographer. What I love about her most is she's so humble and she's not afraid to share her knowledge. Before we actually started the workshop, I think it was about 25 or 26 of us in the workshop together. And we all sat in a circle on the ground, and we just chit chat. We just had like one-on-one conversation. She went around and every one of us introduced ourselves and talk a little about ourselves. And she was so humble. I felt like she shared so much knowledge that day. She didn't hold back on anything. Her work is exquisite. The details that she makes something that looks so difficult so simple, and she shows you the technique like firsthand. If you didn't understand something, she was like, listen, you go back and you do it and you come back and show it to me. She makes sure that you got something out of this workshop without leaving, like it was so important to her to know that everyone got something out of it. And I learned like so much, and I felt so fortunate to be in front of her. I remember just sitting there and just staring at her like if it was a celebrity that you wanted to meet for so long. And I was like staring at her. I was like, I'm finally here.
Yeah, kudos to you. You're taking your career to a next level, which I so love. And it's time to pick your brains, okay? Um, we need some tips because in this digital age, people are always taking photos. My mom loved taking pictures. I love taking pictures. Can you give us tips to take a better selfie?
Okay, so there's a lot of things you need to keep in mind when taking a selfie.
Mhm.
It's not only the position of how you would take a selfie, but it has a lot to do with angle. It has a lot to do with your background, where you're actually going to take it. And then I would say angle after. And then basically you practice what you're going to do. So one of the key things you could do if you're going to start practicing, I would say is you could, if you're using your phone, you can put your self timer on. And that way you have your hands, you can work with your hands. And I always say you go at an angle. So if you're taking a picture, you don't look straight, you always want to go at an angle. Angle gives you a slimmer look, and according to which side that you like, that you would angle yourself to that. And then you take a couple pictures, and once your lighting is right and you have a nice background, it could be whatever, but just like nothing distracting from you, right? And you take a picture, you need to show some sort of emotion. Like, to me, I feel like when you take a selfie, you should have emotions. So if you should be smiling, or your hand could be in your hair, just like something to show some sort of emotion, and just take a couple pictures and practice it. And I think if you do that, you will get the right selfie.
I actually love all of your selfies.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next tip, it might be difficult because you are sitting down, but when we are standing and we want to take a picture, how do we look slim? I know this is not something that's impossible, right? How do you look slimmer when you take a picture?
So that's a very good question, because that question is always asked with so many of my clients. And it is the same thing, just like if you were to take a selfie, except you just need to keep in mind there are certain things when you're actually going to do the photo. So if you're standing, I always tell my client, if you're feeling comfortable about your size, or your weight and stuff, you wear more solid colors. So a color has a lot to do with your actual photo, because you're trying to want to avoid stripes and stuff like that. So I would say go with a solid color. And I try to always do a shoot in an angle. So we wouldn't do it straight, but in an angle as well. And you would want to drop all your weight on your back leg, or whichever leg that you're actually putting all your weight on. And you always put the other foot in front of your foot. So you're creating, so basically if you're using your hands, this is exactly how you're going to be. So you're slimming your body just by doing this. You're just taking your legs, one of your foot, and putting it in front of the other one, and you're actually slimming your whole hip line and waist. And you're going to shoot at an angle. And you always try to dip your hips a little, so you get some sort of shape in there as well. So yeah, there's a couple of different techniques that would definitely be one of them.
Oh, I'm loving. I'm gonna put that um, tip into action very, very soon when I out and take.
Send me those photos.
I'll tag them.
Yes.
So now for the folks that actually have those pro cameras, they're not necessarily photographers, professional photographers, but they buy it to capture pictures of their family members and use it for maybe their blog, etc. When is the right time to turn the flash on?
So there's two things. Let's talk about the camera before the flash. If you are using like a regular DSLR camera, which is one like what I have here, this is pretty simple. I would recommend trying to learn to shoot in manual mode. Now there's a lot of different modes that is like programmed, but it's programmed just based on your environment, your lighting and stuff. The camera plugs that in for itself.
Mhm.
However, if you're shooting in manual mode, you're telling the camera what to do. So you're basically in control of the camera, right? And that way you could, if you're shooting in manual mode, you'll be able to change your lighting and you'll be more in control of that. So that'll be with the camera. If you're gonna know when to put the flash on, first of all, these pop-up flash, if you're using like these pop-up flash on your camera, it tends to give you like a shadow effect. And if you hold it too close to your face, you get this blowout look, when you put that, like just like if you were to put a light on very close to your face. So I would suggest that if you get if you have an external flash, Or even if you're going to use the pop-up flash, I'll give you another tip what you could do. But if you have an external flash that you could use onto this, you'll get a better lighting and you'll get a more natural picture on that if you use your flash. And it will definitely have to be when you have less lighting. Like there's no natural light around and no ambience in the light. So if you're indoors or if it's nighttime, that's when I would say you would use your flash. The pop-up flash, however, um, try to use it, but when you use it, don't go too close to the subject, whoever you're taking the photo of. If you're going to take this picture, just don't go too close to them because then you're going to get a blowout look with that pop-up flash, or you might get a shadow behind. So you just have to take it at angles, do a couple, and then you might figure out your proper lighting. Yeah.
And I love all the tips. You know, we're winding down to the end of the interview, and I have a question, a special question for you. What does photography mean to you?
So photography means a lot to me. Over the years, I think it means a lot more now because when I think about it, I think about my life. I think about how it started from the beginning when I actually fell in love with photography. And then what I decided to do with photography by opening my studio, that was another part of my life. And then my family life. So photography is like me freezing my life, me freezing my moments and capturing the moments of my kids, of clients that smile, of elderly people that we may not see again. So it's for me, it's like if I'm just freezing time and putting it in this little box.
Yeah.
So photography is like it's here. It's right here.
And I could see you lighting up every time we talk about it.
Yes.
So the last question for you is, if you can tell the audience one thing, what would that be?
I would say so before when we came down with this lockdown with the COVID-19 and the coronavirus, I was so scheduled. My life was so scheduled with work and the studio and kids and family. But it was scheduled. It wasn't like you actually sitting down and taking this in. So I think what I want to do for myself and what I would want to tell other people is that we all need to take time for ourselves. We all need to love ourselves and make time for ourselves. Like the entire world is shut down at this moment. And I think every person or every individual is enjoying this time for themselves. I'm enjoying my family, spending time with them, even doing little projects at home, you know, and I would say to make time for yourself and love yourself. And it's so important because you may not get that again.
Yeah, beautifully said. And ladies and gentlemen, you can tell she has a lot of great information and you need to check her out on social media. Can you share with us where they can find you on social media?
Sure. I'm on Crystal Badal Photography on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook under Crystal B Photography, and my email is crystalbphotographylimited@gmail.com.
And TikTok. I know you're
And TikTok, Crystal B Photo, Photo. Yes.
we're going to be doing a duet very soon. Hopefully today, maybe after this. Well, Crystal Badal, thank you so much, my high school friend. I'm really proud of you to see where you've come, being able to follow your passion and doing it so well. And I visited that studio when I came to Trinidad, and I look forward to visiting again very soon, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Best, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Rose, for having me.